Hello and welcome to the Anzac Day edition of League Football Action, completing round 2 here in Adelaide. And it was a day where two of the giants of the competition, Port and Glenelg, emerged victorious. We'll be having a look at the Sturt-Glenelg clash a bit later on in the program, but first our attention to Footy Park, where 36,000 people saw the clash of traditional rivals Norwood and Port. We pick up the action early in the third term, and joining me in commentary is John Robinson.
Well, a couple of rush behinds are in quick succession, one to each side at the moment, after leading by 3 points at half-time to the Norwood side. At the moment with a quick goal to Brown and a point each. That means that the Port Adelaide side is currently leading by 3 points. Archie through the centre of the ground, puts it down. The leading Hodges goes low, couldn't complete it. Warhurst. He's done well against Hodges at full-back today. Scott Hodges has only kicked 1 goal. He kicked 10 last week, remember, against the Bulldogs. McIntosh, he's been prominent to Rowe. Smart, who hasn't done a lot at centre-half forward, but cleverly gets out of trouble. But has the ball stolen. Matthew Robin. The tackling by Port Adelaide has been ferocious today. Called the play on now. Rosonico drives him forward. Hodges. Well, the quick thrust forward by Port Adelaide has found Hodges, given the opportunity to get a few yards on Tom Warhurst, who's wore him like a jacket all day. And now Hodges has the chance from 25 metres out straight in front. He's kicked 1 goal today. His team is currently leading by 3 points. Scott Hodges kicks away. That's his second for the day. And the second for Port Adelaide for this quarter. Port lead by 9 points.
And a good performance and a great duel between Hodges and Warhurst. Warhurst, one of the most experienced defenders in the game. And the Magpies open up a handy 9-point lead. They're kicking towards the lake end, and the breeze has certainly freshened up. So Norwood will have the advantage in the final term, but Neil Baum will be asking for great defence in this third quarter. 9 points in it. Port Adelaide lead in the centre. Craig Baum against Hines. Here's Rowe. Jarman tries to find Murdoch. Good contest on centre wing. Williams in there hard. Did that well to Setri. Brown. The chip passing towards Rowan Smith at half forward. And a good mark. So Port Adelaide have exploded early in the third term. Rowan Smith got the shot from about 30 metres out. He's yet to boot a goal in the match so far. He's played some of the match on the ball. He fires towards goal, and he's put it through. And Port Adelaide extend the lead to 15 points.
Well, Port Adelaide burst out of the trap certainly at the start of this third term. A couple of quick goals, and suddenly they're back in control again. The control slipped towards the latter part of that first half. In fact, the last 5 minutes, and all were able to arrest the lead and going by with a 3-point advantage at half-time. But 3 quick goals to Port Adelaide at the start of this third term, and they currently lead by 15 points.
So Port the ascendancy early in the third quarter. Hines and Baum. No one got the tap. Hines got it on the second attempt. A high tackle in the centre, and the free kick to Stephen Williams. He's a rugged centreman. Goes with a torpedo putt. Long kick in towards Hodges. Nearly the mark. Play on the call. Could have perhaps been played. Here's a chance for Brown. McKay. Hodges. Good smother. Hutton kicks it a mile in the air. Tregenza underneath the ball. Nearly the mark. Kelly. McIntosh fighting hard. Players going in very hard at right half forward. And the bounce by umpire Abbott. 15 points in it. Port Adelaide lead.
Right forward pocket. Port Adelaide under attack and looking dangerous in the early part of this second half. Maynard relieves the pressure to Jarman. One of his many handballs in this game so far. Finds Staritsky. He's been a fine player. Back to Maynard. That's where it all started. His handball is to Smart. Another one to Stephen Rowe. And they've travelled about 10 metres. They've had 10 handballs. So Setri comes in and says bang. Puts it long, and that's certainly far more advantageous. Norwood messing around a little bit too much. And the pressure from Port Adelaide will bring that sort of football unstuck. There's no doubt about that. And once again, Port Adelaide to have a throw in their right forward pocket. They lead by 15 points. They've thrown on 3 quick goals at the start of this third term.
And the ball taken by Andrew Jarman in defence. He kicks beyond centre from the side. Thomas, a beautiful mark. He plays on. He's got support on. Set up Sturitsky, a shocking hand pass. Really unfair hand pass from Thomas to Sturitsky. Gave him no chance, John, and put him under heaps of pressure.
This was a bad one. You don't expect that sort of thing from Keith Thomas. Great experience, but the pressure that Porter are applying out there, well, I think it's starting to show on Norwood. And this third term is a quarter that Norwood have to do very well if they want to win this game.
Magpies lead by 15 points. Here's Halfpenny in defence. The kick only as far as Hines. Onto the boot goes Abernathy, up towards centre half forward. 2 against 1 in favour of Norwood. Plays over the ball. Halfpenny. Here's a chance for the Magpies. Borlays looking for Hodges. Behind Warhurst. Good defence by Tom Warhurst. Hodges recovered the better. Chips around his body. Well, it was a great attempt, but only behind scored. The Magpies lead by 16 points.
It's absolutely remarkable that he could get the ball around that far. He virtually kicked it straight back over his head, but just the minor score. Norwood, I'm sure, would be breathing a sigh of relief after that. They've been under constant pressure for most of this first term. 3 goals have gone up against them at this stage, and they've got to arrest this run of Port Adelaide, otherwise they're in grave danger. Pike works it towards the boundary line, the safety of the boundary line, in fact. Norwood need to regroup here and stop this onslaught from Port Adelaide. Both sides performed well against the breeze. Terms that they were against it. It's Norwood's turn against it in this third term. They've got a lift. That's hooked around by Stringer. Great mark by Warhurst, and he has done a good job against Scott Hodges. Scott Hodges has kicked 2. He's been given plenty of opportunities by his teammates up the ground. A lot of indecision by Warhurst. Finally goes short and finds Justin Sturitsky deep in defence, and he's been one of Norwood's best players. To Lester Ross, well, it's come unstuck again. You can't mess around like that. Brown to Setri toward goal. Wait on the goal umpire. That's another one. 4 quick goals to the Port Adelaide side in this third term, and they've absolutely bolted.
And it's Setri's first goal. A brilliant effort. A shocking mistake by Lester Ross in defence, John, and really those sort of mistakes can lose matches against the breeze.
Look, I mentioned it just a while ago. In fact, only a couple of minutes. Norwood are messing around too much with the football. They've got to get their boot into the thing, gain some ground, and get out of danger. They're not doing it. And the constant pressure of Port is bringing them undone.
Norwood led by 3 points at half-time. The Magpies currently a 22-point lead. In the centre, Andrew Jarman. The ball thumped forward into attack for Port Adelaide. Setri. His handball is good. Stringer on the half volley. Inside half forward and closing. Stringer's shot towards goal is offline. So the lead now 23 points. And the Magpies really have started this third term as if they've been shot out of a gun barrel.
Certainly have, and interesting to see Stringer there at centre half forward, whereas he isn't a spectacular player. He's a workman and he's done well today. Rowan Smith. Lester Ross darts it towards the safety of the boundary line. Yes, I'll go on with that a little bit. Paul Stringer at centre half forward. He's a big player. He's got plenty of bulk. He's got plenty of strength, and he uses it to great advantage and brings in the players around him. He's not certainly what you call a spectacular centre half forward, but certainly effective.
The ball out of defence. Matthew Kelly is fighting hard. Umpire Abbott hovering, and he'll bounce. He'll take command. So the margin 23 points. And I'd say if Norwood would have any chance of winning this game, they'd have to really tighten up in defence. The bounce at half forward for Port Adelaide. Jarman dispossessed. Here's Wanganeen. Feeds over the chance to Rowan Smith. Here's a go for Port Adelaide, but his kick is way offline and out of play on the full. So a golden opportunity missed there by Rowan Smith. The resultant free kick to Tom Warhurst. The margin 23 points.
This is the Magpies. Certainly looking good in the early part of this third term. What a good flight by David Hines. What a wonderful ruckman David Hines is, and a great support to Russell Johnston. Just floated in. The pack looked set to contest it, and he came in at the last moment, judged it to perfection. Now we'll check his kicking style. He has the advantage of a breeze at his back. He's right on the 50-metre line. It's long, it's strong. He's been going for that extra little bit of pace. I think he's kicked it a little bit offline for just the minor score, so the Magpies move to a 24-point advantage.
Tom Warhurst looks for Staritsky in defence. Oh, fingertip level, he takes a good mark. There's certainly a mark. The Magpie crowd didn't agree with the umpire. Staritsky up towards half-back, Weeding, Hines, here's Murdoch, Maynard to Jarman. Chance here for the Redlegs as Jarman kicks loose off the side of the boot. It was intended for Payne. It rolls over the boundary line. So the Redlegs certainly under pressure. The boundary throwing right half forward. They trail by 24 points.
It's only about the second time in this quarter, I would suggest, that if Norwood have managed to penetrate up to their half-forward line. They need goals desperately. They run the risk of this game getting out of their control at the moment. They'll have another boundary throw-in. 24 points the advantage to Port Adelaide. Right half forward. Hines versus Weeding. So Weeding has been brought out from full forward. Desperate moves by Coach Barn. Keith Thomas puts him towards full forward. Smart, contesting strongly. A very clever mark against Phelps. Held him out with the strong body. Took the clever mark. Goes for the short one. Oh, it's dangerous. Touched by Smith on the way through. Staritsky's caught. And it's holding the ball. So well done, young Simon Tregenza. Assessed the situation and got on with it. But once again, Norwood messing around when they should be going much longer.
Here's Tregenza, and Doug Smart has shown us on many occasions he's not getting value for possession. Big mark by Borlase. Here's a go for the Magpies. Abernathy thumps it up towards Hodges at full forward. And the mark, a walking goal. And the Magpies extend their lead to 30 points, and Hodges boots his third goal.
Well, there's no doubt about the Magpies. They were caught deep in defence. A great tackle by Simon Tregenza set it all up. He went wide. Darryl Borlase took a great mark, and when this guy's on, he's real value to Port Adelaide. The support from Abernathy, and he's been doing it all day. The long bomb, exactly the opposite to what Norwood have been doing. Scotty Hodges, supreme in the air, third goal, and they've got a 30-point lead.
And really that all started by the mistake from Doug Smart in attack for Norwood. The bounce in the centre, Hall up against Hines. Hines won the tap, Thomas in there. The ball's pretty hot in the centre of the ground. Tregenza, Setri. He's got support out wide, but goes up towards half forward. Robin from behind, play on the call. Halfpenny, hand passes straight to McKay, and he's got it from half forward. No, he hasn't. The behind, well, the umpire shaped to signal the goal, and the lead now 31 points to the Magpies.
Certainly would have been a thrilling moment for young Darren McKay. A chance for his first goal in league footy, but it wasn't to be. But there's ominous signs from this Port Adelaide side at the moment. They're running, there's plenty of power in what they're doing, and they're in control. Murdoch at half-back for Norwood, looking down the grandstand centre wing. In fact, moves it towards the centre, and Staritsky. Close on best player for Norwood, I would suggest. So Staritsky. Not quite sure what to do, not a lot of movement up forward. It holds up in the breeze, spunk forward by Phillips. Andrew Jarman puts Norwood forward. Weeding runs onto it, but can't get away with it. But little George Fiarchi can out of his back pocket. Exuberant player is George as he kicks long to centre half forward. Borlase again, he's having a purple patch in this term. Clever, left foot pass, won't reach its target. Been intercepted by James Pike. Left Norwood defence is under extreme pressure at the moment. It's been split wide open by the creative and inventiveness of the Port Adelaide forwards. Well, there's Fiarchi in the play again. You can't keep him down. He's won the free kick at centre wing. And Port maintain the pressure. It's a very crowded forward line. With John Hall in there. Oh, what a mark. That's Stringer. We've said he's not spectacular at centre half forward normally, but that was a spectacular effort. And look at the kick. That's a beauty. It's got to be all of 55, 60 metres. To goal. What a magic effort. He kicked it outside the 50-metre line after a great mark, and he's kicked his first goal. Great effort by Stringer.
And that lead now to Port Adelaide, 37 points. Stringer flew from the side of the pack to take the mark. He saw the goal square unattended, and he thumped it towards goal. A brilliant effort. Just the breeze of affection. Port Adelaide attacking the lake end. And the lead now 37 points.
5 goals to Port Adelaide for the term. A great effort. This play gets underway once again. We've mentioned Paul Stringer at centre half forward. A very workmanlike effort from him for the entire game. But what a spectacular effort for that last goal. Here goes Norwood. Chance for Payne. right on the 50-metre line, puts it into the square. One-on-one battle. Rosonico with strength and recovery. Slips the ball out to the ever-supporting Magpie teammate. This time it's Jeff Phelps, and his long right footer gets them out of trouble. Let's see Tregenza. He's got a chance to use his pace here if he can get clear of all these Norwood players. There's 4 of them, so they had to win that one away from him. The handball to Jarman, the short pass to McIntosh, juggles it, but he's got it. 60 metres out. What can they do? They're kicking against the breeze, and they're shell-shocked at the moment. Into the pocket he goes, Smart up. He counts on the ball in this left forward pocket. Desperate defence by Port Adelaide, and they hold it up. Only 20 metres out from that Norwood goal. Well, the lead is 37 points to the brilliant Magpies. It's been a great quarter from them. What can Norwood do?
They certainly haven't got any answers at the moment, John. The bounce in the pocket. Abernathy. Out there is Zonico. And the ball forced out of play.
What a magical start to the 1990 season for this Port Adelaide side. 92-point victory against the Dogs at their home ground last weekend. And they're currently leading by 37 points halfway through this third term.
Port Adelaide 13-13, Norwood 8-6. And it's out of play once more. And really the breeze has freshened up at half-time, but Port Adelaide have shown a lot more will to be first to the ball, John.
Yes, well, each side has worked well when they've been against the breeze so far in this game. So, you know, Norwood, though, have got to really do things big with the breeze when they finally get it in the final turn.
Brown's kick is intercepted by John Hall. He's got support in the form of Kelly. Has to go back to Hall, almost a throw. Here's Maynard, he kicks it over half forward. 3 against 1. The punch away, good defence by Port Adelaide, comes to Rowan Smith. Rowan Smith fires the pass into Wanganeen. Hall, Halfpenny, he'll repel. He's played pretty well. Warren Halfpenny to centre half forward, but the man mountain himself, Greg Phillips, takes the mark. And a very soft 50-metre penalty. I reckon that's bad umpiring.
Yeah, it appears to be a little bit soft. Sure, the player knocked it out of his hand, so I guess technically it's there, but I don't think they should overdo these things. But it's put the big fella within kicking distance. He doesn't get the opportunity in front of goal that often, so it'll be interesting. He's taking his time, pulling up the socks. I think he's going to have a go. He's on the 50-metre line. And with the strength that this man possesses, the distance really shouldn't be a problem with that breeze behind him. Bang, there it goes. Distance isn't a problem. Neither is the accuracy. Well done, Greg Phillips. And look at the players congratulating him, and so they should. And he's a happy man. Just look at him. A big smile from ear to ear. And this Port Adelaide machine in this game, particularly this third term, is absolutely relentless. Don't they look good?
Well, they certainly do. Phillips' first goal, and that lead now to the Magpies is a whopping 43 points. And they've really set up a great victory here. 14-13, Port Adelaide 97, Norwood 8-6-54. In the centre, Stephen Williams, ball lays around his body, up towards half forward. Here's Ryan Smith, who couldn't take the mark. Back there, Robran, Halfpenny. He looks to the open spaces and the safety of the boundary line, outer side centre wing. So the Magpies 43-point leaders over Norwood. After the Redlegs, would you believe, led at 3 points at half-time. Boundary throw in, Hall. Here's Brown, Halfpenny. Turned over by Borlaze. He kicks up towards centre half forward, but a good mark taken by Lester Ross. Let's see if he can get something moving for Norwood. What a shocking kick. Phillips in their way, he just moves Murdoch aside. Gets it on to Williams, another strong man for the Magpies. He does a full pirouette and kicks up towards half forward. Here's a chance for Hodges. He's well in front of Warhurst. He's got support in the form of Hutton. Here's Setri inside half forward. And he puts the Magpies' 15th goal on the board. His second. And Port Adelaide lead by 49 points.
Well, there's no doubt about Port Adelaide. Greg Phillips, I think he's grown a foot throughout this game. He absolutely tore them apart when he's at centre-half back. Well, he's been at centre-half back all day, but from the first minute of the game, he's been in control at centre-half back. And such is his arrogance, he's wandered down, he's kicked a huge goal, and now he's set that one up, got things underway. Stephen Williams, Hodges combining well with his teammates supporting him up forward. Setri finishing it off.
So 49 points the margin. Port Adelaide 15-13 to Norwood 8-6. It's on the outer side wing. The umpire in for the bounce. And we saw Norwood, John, explode in that latter part of the second term, but really this has been a remarkable effort by Port Adelaide.
Magical stuff. They're a side that is in control and they're in brilliant form, as was witnessed last week against the Dogs. They won by 92 points and they're inflicting some pain on Norwood at the moment. But Norwood a chance to go forward. Jarman with a short kick, and we've seen many of them from him today, not always to advantage. But the Port Adelaide defence is there once again. They're putting the pressure on the ball coming in, and the defenders are certainly mopping up. Centre wing. Boundary line wins in that race. That's where the throwing will take place. Centre wing, Port Adelaide 15 goals, 13, 103. Norwood 8 goals, 654.
And so far it's been an 8-goal quarter by Port Adelaide. Norwood yet to post a major. And here's a chance for Port Adelaide once again. David Brown. He's got Hodges in short. He chips away at goal. It's just across the face. And the behind scored. So 50 points the margin to Port Adelaide. The Magpies 15-13. 15-14 in fact to Norwood. 8 goals, 6.
Brown hurt a little on that occasion. I feel Hodges was leading. He also had Setri in a position on his own out in front of goal, but they weren't used. So Norwood now the chance to come out of defence to the centre wing. Player caught behind was Abernathy, couldn't complete the mark. Norwood the chance to move forward, but Setri's there, supported by Phillips. Back to Setri they go. A little speedster. Chips it to Fiacci. They're away again. Plenty of support, Port Adelaide today. They're to be flapped on the back for the way they're going about their job today. They're in control. Hutton had to support it, Williams. He's good on his left foot from the left forward pocket, but, well, he's let himself and his side down a little bit on that occasion. Couldn't bring it back. It's out of bounds on the full. So Norwood to put the ball back into play. But, gee, it's a shell-shock Norwood, David. Port Adelaide in this quarter, just magnificent.
A lot more endeavour in the third term, John. Port Adelaide 15-14, 104. Norwood 8-6-54. Warhurst in defence. Kicks up towards half-back. Up high, Stringer. And we saw him mark and goal brilliantly about 10 minutes ago. Can he do the same?
Well, the distance certainly isn't a problem. He kicked it from the 50-metre line last time, and I can't give this guy enough credit for the job he's done at centre-half for today. He's been spectacular on a couple of occasions, but for the rest of the game, he's done good, hard, solid work.
And he's booted one in the footy match so far. This could be a second, not coming around enough. So the margin now 51 points. Port 15-15 to Norwood, 8 goals, 6.
Yes, Paul Stringer deserves a lot of credit today, but of course the side overall does. It's been a magnificent team effort up to this point in time. There's still another quarter and a bit to go. Hines up high. Misjudged it. The breeze might have been the problem there. Matthew Kelly kicks Norwood down to a wing, but it's all caught back there. First of Bruce Abernathy, but the ball beats him to the boundary line. The throw will take place at centre wing. Port Adelaide a fabulous quarter so far. 8 goals, 7 they've added for the term. That's 15 scoring shots. Whilst Norwood have added 1 behind. That's 1 scoring shot. Such is the dominance of the Magpies. Well, Norwood are down to their half-forward line. A rare occurrence in this term so far. Payne got it to Lester Ross. Sleight of hand got it to Thomas. And he puts it forward. Rowe the chance. Bounce doesn't favour him. It does. Muster, however, gets it to Smart. From a standing start, it's in towards goal, but it's all caught back there again. Abernathy gobbles it up and then passes the ball beautifully to Hines. Hines to centre wing, and the Magpies are away again.
Hall couldn't take the mark. Here's a chance for Kelly. Gets it on to Thomas. Here's Lester Ross. Maynard in support. He kicks short, but over Wilding's head. And the mark taken there for Port Adelaide by Wanganeen. On to Hutton. He kicks up towards centre-half forward. The play on the corner was touched off the boot. The hand pass from Rowan Smith tried to find Stringer. Gee, the bodies are going in hard at half forward. Robrin. Also McKay in his second league game. There's in screen at the moment a very
Well, that's very dejected, isn't he? He's a very dejected man, and so he should be, but I think you've got to give credit where it's due. The absolute pressure that Port Adelaide are applying and what caused that ball up was a classic example. It's just too much for Norwood. So we're at right half forward. Port again. Out comes the handball. Tregenza bolts. Kicks in towards full forward. Hodges is there. Oh, we couldn't quite hold on to that one. The pressure was from Warhurst. He had to go for it. There was a chance it might have gone through. Hodge was in a position where he had to go for that one. Unfortunately, couldn't complete it. So another point to Port Adelaide. They lead by 52. Warhurst to the outer side. Up high, John Hall. Good mark by him. We haven't seen enough from the big fella from Norwood today. And Port Adelaide have been in control in the air. Lester Ross down to the centre wing. Off hands, Staritsky, clever. Has support. It's McIntosh, the captain. Got the bounce back, fortunately. Kicks into full forward now, Rowe. That's much better, fast movement by McIntosh. When they're prepared to kick the ball, they look better. Called to play on Rowe, Jarman. Quick handball. Chance for David Payne. Settles 20 metres out and misses. Nothing going right for Norwood, or should I say, Port won't allow it to go right for them. In fact, it's called out of bounds on the full.
So the margin remains at 52 points. Port Adelaide 15-16 to Norwood, 8 goals, 6. In defence, Paul Rosonico, he booms the kick up towards half-back. Up high, Doug Smart. Good roving there done by McIntosh. Rowe in towards Muster at full forward. He recovers beautifully, and the snap is a good one. His third goal, Norwood put on their 9th, but Port Adelaide still lead. The margin is 46 points.
Well, a good goal to Muster. He should certainly hold his head up high, I think, in that Norwood Fort area. That's his third goal. He's kicked one in each of the 3 quarters so far. Which the quarter belongs totally to Port Adelaide. They've added something like 8 goals, 8 for the quarter. Norwood have added 1 goal, 1. Admittedly, Port Adelaide are kicking with a breeze, but gee, haven't they done it so well. 15 goals, 16 to 9 goals, 6. So Norwood a chance once again. Look at the pressure from Port Adelaide. Thumped forward by Hutton, kicked back by Maynard. 2 centre-half forward, it's a high ball. Phillips punches away once again, and it's become a monotonous amount of times we've had to call that again, and he's going in hard once more. Rowe, look at the pressure that Norwood are under. Handball's totally ineffective. Brent Phillips gets it to Hutton, and away they go again. Hodges caught behind, uses the body, takes the mark. Well, that was very cleverly done by Scott Hodges, but once again, Port Adelaide with the breeze, prepared to fight hard for the football, then kick it long and direct. When that happens, to give Hodges the opportunity to use his skill. That time it was a little nudge, got himself into position, took the mark. It's kick 2. He's only 25 metres out, very slight angle, kicking with the breeze at his back. He's kicked his third, and he's kicked his side to a 58, a 62-point lead. Sorry, a 52-point lead in this third term.
And so far it's been a 9-goal quarter by Port Adelaide. Norwood just the 1 goal for the third term. And it's been pretty even between Hodges and Warhurst, but on that occasion, as John mentioned, just a little nudge at the last moment by Scott Hodges resulted in his third goal.
Umpire Larry Argent to put play back underway. 52 points the advantage to Port Adelaide. Their effort in this term has been just magnificent. There's no other way to describe it. What's more, it's been a total team effort. Well, there's a bad mistake by Hutton. It's seized on by McIntosh. Now Rowe, now Murdoch. He kicked one like this early in the game. This one he won't make. The breeze holds it up. The attempt by Muster comes off the fingers and rushed through for just the minor score. Norwood moved to 9 goals, 7. Port Adelaide, 16 goals, 16.
The ball to be put back into play by Phelps. He kicks it well over centre half back. Phillips up high. Jarman gets it off to Thomas. Thomas tips it in short, looking for Doug Smart. Here's a chance for Muster. He's got a player in support. That player Staritsky. His snap towards goal is out of bounds. Just hit the behind post. So Port Adelaide 16-16, 112. Norwood 9-7-61. The ball tucked away in the left full forward pocket. And 3/4 time. Port Adelaide 16-16, 112. Norwood 9-7-61. The margin, 51 points.
And the 9-goal third term set up a brilliant victory by the Magpies. In the end, they were victors by 46 points, and they really did increase their work rate after half-time. Port 18-19 defeated Norwood 12-9. For Port Adelaide, Hodges booted 6, Wanganeen, Brown and Setri 2 apiece, whilst for Norwood, Muster 3 and Rowe 2. And after the game, John Robertson caught up with the Magpie defender, George Fiacci.
Well, George, a fantastic effort from Port Adelaide, there's no doubt about it. Back in defence, you were so organised. How did it feel back there?
Oh, it was great. That first half, we really struggled a bit. Norwood put us under pressure, and we did struggle. But after half-time, we just come out firing. And once it was just a whole team effort, and especially back in defence, we just feel like such a unit back there. Everyone knows what each other's going to do, and it all comes together. It looks great.
Around the centre of the ground, I thought the trio across there, plus moving the ball out of the centre, gave the forwards a lot of ball. How did it look from back in defence?
Oh, it just looked so electric, so quick, That was really a quick, fast-moving football, the way that, Jack really wants us to play. We got the ball, we kicked long, we didn't mess around with it, especially in these conditions. And, it really came off well. We just bombarded the goal square and Scotty Hodges did the rest.
Speaking of messing around with it, I think in contrast, Norwood style, they messed around with the ball a bit too much and your pressure was a bit too much for them. Did you see that?
Yeah, I think, Norwood tried to play a possession game, and in conditions like they were today, very windy, and the sort of pressure we put on them, they just started to fold, and we just cleaned up on their mistakes and made them look actually pretty silly, I think.
OK, well, 2 great efforts in a row, George. All the best from here on.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Bit of a character, George Fiacci, and a good game in the back pocket today for Port Adelaide. Our second match for replay comes from the Adelaide Oval. Glenelg doing battle against Sturt, and we pick up the action at the start of the second term. Your commentator...
Support your local planet.
Bette Midler will be there.
Michael Douglas will be there.
Robin Williams will be there.
I'll drop in on this little planetary get-together.
Is the Earth really coming to an end?
Not fast enough for me, Pumpkin.
Their message is crucial. 8:30 Wednesday on Channel 9, the Earth Day special.
Well, footy punt time again. And tonight we have just 3 games to discuss for tomorrow's Anzac Day round of football. Once again, the TAB have added an AFL match to make up a footy treble, mainly because there's only 2 games being played in this state. Obviously, we need a 3rd game. That game I'm talking about first, game 1 in Melbourne, Carlton versus Footscray. Gee, both sides are going for the doldrums, aren't they? They've both won 1 out of the first 4 and need to win desperately. I think Carlton at home should beat Footscray, and Stephen Kernahan due for a big game, and David Kernahan, who really surprised me last Friday, and I put in a great game at fullback. The South Australian influence, folks, that'll win the game for Carlton. Carlton by 31-40. Game 2, one of our home games, Norwood versus Port at Football Park. What a match. Traditional rivals. Always put on a great show for the fans, don't they? I'll go against the grain again. I like going for outsiders now and again. I'll go for Norwood. Why? They don't often lose 2 in a row. I know Port had a great win in the first round by 92 points up at Elizabeth, and Norwood got thrashed by North. Doesn't matter. Last week counts for nothing. One of my theories is that sides that lose have a better chance of winning the next week if they have character. I think the Redlegs have just that. Norwood by 1-10. Be a great game, though. If you fancy Port, take them in your footy treble as well. I won't argue. Game 3. The other game on the agenda tomorrow, Sturt playing Glenelg at Adelaide Oval. Well, Glenelg, a really good side it would appear. I know they got run over in the first half by West Highlands, but they showed what they've got. And John Fitch kicked 7 goals in the last half of the game, or 5 in the 3rd quarter, and Glenelg beat Sturt last week by plenty. So Glenelg by 21-30 in what should be a good match. The footy treble this week focuses on games 1, 2 and 3, of course. And don't forget, the footy treble closes at 1:30 p.m. And as I always say, folks, don't just tip the winners, back them on footy punt.
She's a teenager caught between 2 different worlds.
I wish I didn't have to go back.
Forced to choose between her father's wealth.
We want you to come and live with us.
Couldn't leave, Mom.
And her mother's love.
You don't know how wonderful she is.
It's the powerful story of a daughter's struggle.
Daddy!
And a mother's sacrifice.
I want her happy. You don't want me to leave?
Bette Midler, Trini Alvarado.
I love you. Love you, Mom.
Stella.
Lot less.
There you are. I've had a few letters from people that are saying, Robbo's World Tonight. Doesn't that sound a bit weird? Yes, it does. I didn't choose the name Robbo. Someone up in Sydney did. I just said, oh, all right. You know when you have argued about something for years, eventually you just say, just whatever you like. So it's the world tonight as far as I'm concerned. So there, I hope we clear that up. Till next week. I'm still in Melbourne. It is Tuesday. It's like weird looking at your watch to see what day it is. It's Tuesday. Tomorrow I'm going to go and see some of the veterans. I managed to avoid the Vietnam War. I said I didn't want to go, which rather surprised them, that sort of honesty. And eventually they said, we don't want you because you're emotionally unequipped for war. And I've said before, that's the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me. They took it as a, you know, personal slight that I didn't want to go. They said, do you want to be an officer, do you? I said, I don't want to go at all. It's inconvenient. I think it's silly. So I didn't go. And unfortunately, a couple of my friends did, and they never wished to talk about it. So we must remember all those tomorrow who went, even if they didn't want to. And some, of course, did not return. To say nothing of their families. They still have pictures on mantelpieces, and each Anzac Day they're reminded of the sadness of the past. Man's inhumanity to everyone else. Well, there are current problems, of course, as well, that don't rely on the 25th. The outback dwellers of New South Wales and Queensland are still hurting tonight from the despair of seeing their towns and farms covered in floodwaters. Queensland Premier Wayne Goss today said some towns in the worst-hit areas of his state may have to be abandoned forever because of the floods. At Nyngan, which is in the central west of New South Wales, emergency levee banks have crumbled before the swollen Bogan River, and the 2,500 residents are being airlifted to Dubbo.
It was in the evening that the crisis reached its peak.
We haven't got the manpower to search for people individually at the moment.
Still, volunteers fought to hold back the tide, using every piece of equipment they could find. Even then, most knew it was too late to save the town. The sandbags gave way at 9 places before volunteers were finally withdrawn. In minutes, water flooded homes throughout the southern end of town. Sandbagging continued throughout the night in a desperate effort to defend homes like this. Faye Evans was just a child when the last big flood hit in 1955. This time, the family was preparing to lose everything.
We're going to lose it. It's only 9 months since we lost the lot in a fire. So we just don't know how we're going to get on.
Her fears were realised when around midnight the flood rose so quickly, every home was submerged. Even emergency vehicles faltered. All night the people of Nyngan have watched their homes slowly going under. But this morning, with the town well and truly submerged, many are now realising the only things they may be able to save are themselves. They came with whatever they could carry. Hundreds forced out of their homes gathered at the railway station waiting to be taken to safety. 400 people an hour were evacuated, flown to dry land near Dubbo.
And it's horrifying. Terrible. I never want to see anything like it again.
Nyngan's 2,500 people have been transferred to Dubbo tonight, but many say the floodwaters have not yet peaked. And as they sweep through towns like Nyngan, Forbes and Brewarrina, there's now a real fear of disease. Even after the floodwater recedes, it may be several weeks before the townsfolk and farmers alike can safely move back into their homes. Sandra Falloon, World Tonight.
With the fate of Cunnamulla still in the balance, about 90 residents were airlifted to Brisbane last night. The evacuation was limited to priority cases, pregnant women, the young and the elderly. The Queensland sheep town lay directly in the path of the surging Warrego River, and this morning remaining families prepared to abandon their homes. With just a few belongings, women and children were ferried to the nearby airstrip. In town, locals worked frantically to dig levee banks and shore up the primary school. The plan was to fly some 1,500 people to Charleville, already devastated by the country's worst floods this century. But while some were resigned to the worst, others defied orders by the SES to leave.
Get your reaction. Why should we leave our town? Well, they are saying it is a state of emergency. Well, we've got a big scandal down there, mate. If it goes over top of that, well, the people can drown. Stuff them.
The uncertainty continued throughout the day until finally the mass evacuation was called off. Floodwaters heading downstream had somehow dispersed overnight. The town was saved by yet another quirk of nature. In Charleville, residents started coming to terms with the disaster more than 24 hours after floodwaters had swept through the town. Hardly a building was spared. Homes and shops that weren't washed from their mountings were covered in oozing mud. Throughout, there was stark evidence of the flood's enormous force. Brad Schmidt for World Tonight.
I've never been through a flood. I've been through bushfires. I won't compare the two, but I suppose we should look at the forecast for tomorrow rather than keep you going. You'll be pleased to know there's very little cloud over Australia, and Townsville will be fine tomorrow, 28 degrees. Aren't they lovely words, fine, isn't it? Fine in Brisbane, 26, Sydney fine, 23, Canberra mainly fine, 17, Melbourne, of course, showers and windy, very much. 17, Hobart a shower or two, 16, Adelaide a few showers, 19, Darwin fine, 32, and Perth mainly fine, 23, and Alice, of course, 31. So at least there's a chance to dry out. Rather charitable, that man, not to move out, isn't it? I mean, who's going to go and rescue them if they get caught in the rain? I mean, do the SES people have nothing else to do? The police not get tired? Had a silly moustache anyway, didn't he? Now, if you're an unemployed tradesman, this is a call for help. The Queensland government wants you to help build Charleville. The government needs 300 such people as volunteers. Now, this is volunteer, right? It will pay for the airfare and accommodation, and they think a week would be nice if you could do that. Now, you've nothing to lose if you're unemployed. You might even feel a bit better about life if you're employed for a while. Think of the stories you could tell. Contact the Police and Emergency Minister, Mr. McEnroth. He is one of the Queensland Government ministers, and I wrote this. He hopes to be flooded with calls. I like it because I wrote it. If someone else wrote it, I'd say, oh, it's average, I might do it. But if I do it, say, gee, that's terrific. I think that made that story. It's good to be in charge. A bit. Well, tomorrow, war veterans, politicians and tourists are gathering at Gallipoli to commemorate the landing at Anzac Cove 75 years ago. Many will land on the beaches at dawn, as they did in 1915. Australia's oldest diggers on their trip to Turkey spent today shakily trooping through the markets of Istanbul, the city which was one of their objectives in the Dardanelles campaign. All 58 veterans are said to be standing up well to the trip. Their memories are all being assailed with the events that took them to Turkey the first time.
Eventually we took over.
Well, it must have slipped our notice.
It was a military disaster. The Australians and New Zealanders came ashore on the western side of the Gallipoli Peninsula, the British at the southern end. Our soldiers had little hope of success, facing steep hills and thousands of Turks. According to some, what's now the famous Anzac Cove was the wrong landing place. The enemy had cut the marker buoys off gently sloping country further north.
If you listen to the old veterans also, you know, they said that the ground, the colour of the ground was red. I mean, they were absolutely slaughtered.
They had to persist because it was the most direct way to their positions higher up in the hills. Those have become legendary. Lone Pine, captured by the Australians in the first days and held until the evacuation.
One of the best places to reflect is here at Walker's Ridge. You can't help but be saddened by the thought of 9 months of hell during which the troops never advanced more than about a kilometre inland.
Now the crowds are arriving to capture a feeling of the place.
It just gets here. That's fine.
The dawn service at Anzac Cove begins early afternoon in Australia. The ancient diggers on the very ground where they lost their mates 75 years ago tomorrow.
Well, it must have slipped our notice, but it's been reported in the national Turkish newspaper, The Interpreter, that the reason our ageing troops are returning to Gallipoli is to apologise to Turkey for the assault all those years ago. I'm sure our men are, as we are, sorry it ever happened, but that doesn't mean that they're apologising. Perhaps they should have taken their guns with them, just in case. Well, a few minutes ago, the Space Shuttle Discovery successfully left Earth carrying a large spyglass. The Hubble telescope will be placed in orbit from where it will peer out into the universe, trying to solve the riddle of our creation and whether there are any more like us out there. Here's how Discovery went aloft.
We are go for main engine start, T-minus 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff of the Space Shuttle Discovery with the Hubble Space Telescope, our window on the universe.
Mission Control, Houston.
Roll program. Roger, roll, Discovery.
The roll maneuver puts the vehicle in the proper launch plane. Guidance officer confirms a good roll maneuver. Engines now throttling back. The throttle down maneuver assists in reducing the aerodynamic loads on Discovery as it passes through the area of maximum dynamic pressure. Velocity now 1,200 feet per second. Discovery downrange 3 nautical miles.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
All 3 engines now throttled back up.
Go at throttle up.
Engines at 104%. The go at throttle up call signifies that all systems are performing well. All 3 auxiliary power units look good. Discovery's velocity now 2,300 feet per second and is downrange 8 nautical miles.
Yeah, must be quite hot at the base of that device. I was just talking to our floor manager, Archie, who knows just about everything. But he's got pictures of all the management here in compromising situations, which is why he's worked here so long. I was wondering, is that the real speed? I've always wondered that, because you'd imagine a rocket, a la, you know, Empire Day. Oh, I show my age. When you had 5-penny bungers, remember they used to go raw straight off? They didn't just lift up like that, unless you bought the cheaper ones. And I just wondered, apparently that's the speed it goes. Silly camera work, though, isn't it? If you'd have a little camera following it, it might as well be stationary. Perhaps they've got a little plastic one in a little van and they just wiggle it a bit. It's all perceptions, isn't it? Well, it's easy to forget that Australia had a space future of its own before we decided to lie down, let everyone tickle our tummies and walk all over our aero industry. But now we are reliving a moment of past glory. A team of 20 space freak volunteers has emerged from the Simpson Desert with the remains of a rocket which was the key to one of our most